Your Honor, I suggest that the charge of felonious assault be dismissed, and I will plead my client guilty to the charge of simple assault, in the interest of justice.
Your Honor, I object.
Well, then, in the interest of justice, Mr. Petrocelli, might I suggest that you set the sentence here?
Your Honor is asking me to sentence my own client?
That's right.
Well, in that case, Your Honor, then I would say that a fine of $100 would be ample punishment.
I had something different in mind, Mr. Petrocelli.
Oh?
I was thinking of a $50 fine.
Which only goes to prove, Your Honor, how much better your judgment is than mine. What are you doing here?
Is this important?
Sure is. You're gonna have to have lunch all by your lonesome, Mrs. Petrocelli.
So are you, Mr. Petrocelli.
Uh-oh, I'll see you later. See you.
You know who that was parked here in my space?
Mm-mm.
Huh.
Mr. Petrocelli?
Celli. Petrocelli.
Ah, Clayton Nickel. Thank you for coming. We've heard a great deal about you.
Oh?
Uh-huh. Someone mentioned to me you're building a home here.
12 a day.
How's that?
12 bricks a day. At least.
Ah, excuse me.
Deputy Sheriff?
It's Mrs. Hannigan. There's a warrant out for her arrest. They're waiting for someone to bring it over now. Murder.
Pauline, Mr. Petrocelli is here. Mr. Petrocelli is a lawyer.
But you're my lawyer, Clay.
I'm also your friend, Pauline. Remember? We discussed this.
Have the police questioned you, Mrs. Hannigan?
Yes.
Who?
Arnbrecht?
I want it exactly as you told it to Sheriff Arnbrecht, plus.
Plus what?
Plus what you didn't tell him.
Saturday night, we had a few people over for dinner. I said, I better see a therapist. My tongue doesn't seem to be able to adapt to my mouth.
Just take it easy, Mrs. Hannigan. Just go slow.
Well, we were having dinner at home. Bart and Jenny Kennedy's and Dale and myself.
Dale?
My husband. Bart's got this thing about being funny. I guess he's a frustrated burlesque comic or something. At any rate, that night was no exception. Jenny liked it and didn't like it, depending upon who was looking at her. I'm afraid none of it impressed me too much. Dale always seemed to get a kick out of Bart. Maybe that's why I kept him around. I was glad to see him leave, both of them. I was bone tired, and all I could think about was getting some rest. It had been a very long day and much too long an evening. I hardly remember putting the house to bed and going upstairs. We had a regular routine for that. But that night he took care of everything. By the time he'd finished with the lights and the whatnot, I was practically stumbling into bed. I'd taken a sleeping pill. I didn't want the storm to bother me. And I was already half asleep when my head hit the pillow. I'm not sure. I don't know, but I was vaguely aware that Dale was puttering around, smoking or undressing or something. I don't know. I fell off to sleep. I might have been asleep an hour, maybe longer. Suddenly I was awake, wide awake. I heard Dale talking. He was talking to another man and a woman. I didn't recognize their voices. I had a vague feeling something was wrong.
Maybe it's because I'm tired.
It didn't look right. It looked wrong, terribly wrong. The windows were wide open and the damn wind and rain was coming in.
I was trying to...
First I said to myself, someone had a party and didn't invite me. But that wasn't right either. I could feel all the wrong things had just happened somehow. Just ended. Just quit a moment, a few seconds before I came in. Awful things. Didn't have to go down there. I knew he was dead. I knew there was nothing I could do for him.
Is that where you fell?
Yes.
Any other injuries?
She bruised a couple of ribs. The doctors taped them up.
Anybody else in the house, Mrs. Hannigan?
No, the maid had done the dishes from dinner and left for the weekend. What's happening to me, Clay? I can't believe what's happening to me. I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't.
I'm afraid that tax and corporate work hardly fit any of us at Letterman, Yates, and Nickel for this kind of thing. And Mr. Letterman, Mr. Yates, and myself also feel that it would be imprudent to go outside the area when we have a man right here
Of my particular obscurity in San Remo.
Well,
Why don't we level with each other? You bring in a big-time criminal attorney with a track record and a little noisy. You want to keep things quiet.
You must understand that Dale Hannigan was a long-standing client. The interests are absolutely parallel as concerns Mrs. Hannigan. We just want her vindicated as quickly and, as you say, as quietly as possible.
Well, quickly, yes. Quietly, I think we better file a petition for access to that house right away.
Well, then I take it I can tell Mr. Letterman and Mr. Yates that you're with us?
We wouldn't want to disappoint your law partners, would we?
And standing here with me now, the sheriff of San Remo County.
Questioning of witnesses led us to believe that...
Hey, Tony! This here girl is named Hannah.
Hiya, Hannah.
You owe me $50.
Hey, look, Pete, I'm gonna have to owe you a couple $100 more. Look, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to get over to Dutch Onbrecht's office, get me a copy of his report in the Hannigan case. Now, if they give you any flack, tell them to check it out with Letterman, Yates, and Nickel, huh? Bye, Hannah. Hi, babe. Get a hold of that doctor. You know, the one that testified in the hit-and-run case you almost won.
Ciovica?
Yeah, Dr. Ciovica.
Dr. Ciovica.
Hmm? Hello. Hi, Dr. Ciovica. How are you? Oh, it's Ciovica, huh? I'll tell her. Yeah, Doc, I just wanted to ask you a question. Listen, why does a person suddenly begin to stutter? Well, I have a client by the name of Pauline Hannigan. I'd like your professional opinion. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, while you're there, Doc, I'd also like you to take a look at her ribs. Yeah, I want you to call Harry Battle at,
555-8000.
555-8000. Yeah, as a matter of fact, she is in jail. Yeah. Okay, I'd appreciate that very much. Okay, Doctor. Thank you. Ciovica.
I'm pregnant. I said I'm pregnant.
We're pregnant.
I'll get it.
That was Dr. Ciovica on the phone.
Yeah, what'd he say?
Well, he says trauma is trauma, and if she only stutters a little bit, she's lucky. but it was just a temporary condition.
What about her ribs?
Well, he said what she said sounded reasonable. What's that?
A nursery.
Now, just take care of yourself and that baby of ours. And make sure you're at the doctor's on time.
Okay.
Drive carefully, will you, baby?
We'll see you later.
In the city and county of San Remo, that the district attorney of this county does accuse Pauline Anna Hannigan of a felony, to wit, murder, in that on or about the 20th day of September in this year in this city and county, that you did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Ronald Dale Hannigan. Let the record show that I'm handing your attorney a copy of the information.
Thank you.
You waive further reading?
Yes, Your Honor.
Pauline Anna Hannigan. Is that your true name?
Yes.
Pauline Anna Hannigan, how do you plead?
Your Honor, may I request that the matter of the plea stand over a week until I've had the opportunity to acquaint myself with the facts of the case.
Very well. 1 week from today at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Your Honor, may bail be set.
Your Honor, the people cannot agree to bail. This is a death penalty case.
Well, Your Honor, generally that is true, but in this particular case, the proof is weak and there's no great presumption of guilt.
The state disagrees with defense counsel as to the weakness of our proof or the presumption of guilt.
Request for bail denied. You now proceed to the county of San Remo versus Hazel Mangus, accused of felonious assault upon her employer, Edward Miller.
What do you want, Petrocelli?
It's Celli, Dutch. Justice for my client.
What does he want?
He's my investigator.
How's things in the police department these days?
A lot better since you left. Already investigated.
Well, let me put it to you this way, Dutch. You see, I got one mother and 5 sisters, and I never learned much about a woman until I married my wife.
Where'd you learn your bricklaying?
From my father. He was a bricklayer. How you doing, Doc?
Fine and dandy. I heard that we were going to be blessed with your company on this case, Mr. Petrocelli. It puzzled me.
Well, why is that?
Just puzzled me.
What the hell's a hungry Italian from New York doing practicing law out here?
Cambridge, Dutch. Mr. Petrocelli's a Harvard man. Am I right?
Yeah, you're both right. Is she locked?
She sure is.
Off limits, Petrocelli.
Don't tell that to Judge Ambrose.
You didn't really give him much of an answer.
He really didn't give me much of a question.
True. Nevertheless, Dutch and I were born and raised here.
And you know as well as I do that it's the warm sunshine, the warm climate, and the warm people. Unlock it.
Go ahead.
Looks to me like you're way in over your head on this one. Maybe you ought to stay down there in the municipal court for another couple of years until you get the feel of the land.
Well, I think I get the feel of the land, Doc, and besides, you know, you gotta unbuckle your belt sometime.
Yes, but a man could lose his pants that way.
Okay, Pete. So the Hannigans say goodnight to the Kennedy's. Close the door, lock it, turn out the lights, go upstairs. Now, according to this report, the bedroom is the second door. There's one. Here we are over here. Now, she goes in the door. He goes on to the study. and he turns out the light.
And then he goes back to the bedroom, they get undressed, and they go to bed?
No. She got undressed. Remember, when they found the body, Hannigan was wearing the same clothes he had on at dinner.
Well, it sure locks from the inside. Take a look at that.
Well, here, Hannigan's maid, Maria de Sabaca, checked the door and said it was in perfect shape before she left the house on Saturday night.
It sure looks like somebody tried to kick it in.
The big toe in Hannigan's right foot was broken.
There's something else.
Yeah, well, tell me.
Hannigan and Canadesi's had a golf game that day. Canadesi's lost and Hannigan won $1,200. But the money wasn't on the body when Dutch and the boys got to the scene.
Robbery?
No, there's no evidence or proof that anyone was invited there, dropped in, and broke in.
Conclusion.
Whoever clobbered them was already in the house.
Mrs. Hannigan.
The DA's got some case, Tony.
Mr. Lalovich.
All Martinez has got is a body and a theory how that body got dead. Oh, Mr. Lalovich? Yeah, look, I've given this matter considerable thought. I don't think you have much of a case. Take the nail and the salami back to the delicatessen and ask them to give you a new salami without a nail in it. Don't mention it.
Right. And now,
What's this?
this is an authorization for my investigator to go over your financial situation with an accountant.
Oh, do you think my husband married me for my money?
I don't know, Mrs. Hannigan, did he?
Mr. Petrocelli, I think we should get one thing perfectly clear.
That's exactly why I'm here. Why'd you have a fight with your husband that night?
I didn't have a fight with my husband.
Then why'd you try to kick in the bedroom door?
He didn't.
Are you in the habit of locking yourself in the bedroom?
No.
Then what'd you do with that night?
I didn't.
Did he ever slug you?
No.
Did you ever slug him?
No.
You were the only one left in that house.
I thought I was innocent until proven guilty.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hannigan, but I've got to start out by assuming the worst. See, the state makes the same assumption. But you're right. You are innocent until proven guilty.
According to the state, Mr. Petrocelli.
According to me, Mrs. Hannigan.
And standing here beside me, the sheriff of San Remo County.
Questioning of witnesses led us to believe that an exhaustive investigation was called for. When the investigation was completed, all the information was turned over to the district attorney for whatever action he chose to take.
That action was swift and sudden. Yesterday afternoon, Louis Martinez, the district attorney of San Remo County, issued a complaint, and Pauline Anna Hannigan was arrested. This morning, she was arraigned and formally charged with first-degree murder. On June 29, 1972, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty was cruel and unusual punishment. Since that date, however, at least 19 states have passed new statutes that permit capital punishment for specific crimes. Our state is one of them. First-degree murder is one of them. Sports and the weather coming up after this message from San Remo Bank and Trust, your money guardians in...
Hey, what are you trying to do? Poison our baby? Have I get everything?
Everything.
$16.95.
Want to skip the preliminary, Tony? Plead her guilty to manslaughter?
Nope. Just a minute. Wait. What sentence?
Be up to the court.
What would be your recommendation?
1 to 10. She'd be eligible for parole in 3 years.
And you'd give your word, informally, of course, that that's what she'd get.
Well,
You do that, Louise. I'll have you up and charge you so fast you won't have time to peel that enchilada.
okay, wise guy. You read the lab analysis, same as I did. Hannigan had several drinks before dinner, several after. And contrary to popular practice, liquor does not make the aggressive lover as attractive as he feels himself to be.
Don't. Don't. I'm tired.
I'm tired. Practically a national anthem from coast to coast across the face of the land. The old locked door scene, complete with a little determination on both sides of the door. Mrs. Hannigan's not going to be shoved around. Mr. Hannigan's not going to take no for an answer. Impasse. Mr. Hannigan's got to go somewhere and think this one out.
I told you they were the best trackers in the world. I'll be pulling out soon.
She looked tough. And now he feels tough. And he's got to get a plan.
Maybe. I'll wait till they bed down.
Now, the best way to get a plan together is to get another drink together. Courage, About 4 straight neat ounces of it. You can never tell. It may be total showdown time. Get yourself ready. Talk yourself into whatever you want to talk yourself into. It was no different with Hannigan that night, Tony. He had some thoughts on his mind and some liquor in his stomach. And eventually it was time to go back to the old locked door and lay down the law. The old frontal attack. Let her know you mean business, and you're the boss, and you won't take no for an answer. Hannigan was invincible, but he still was human. Back to the planning room. You can still give her a shot, kid. She'll come around. Of course. He was right. What else could she do? Stay locked in forever?
You let go.
Second chorus of the national anthem. Drinking too much. What's on her mind?
Yesterday I have asked myself.
Talk about it in the morning when things are more sober. After the coffee and before the Sunday drinking begins. It had worked that way a lot of times on a lot of different Saturday nights. But not on that one. On that night, he did mean it, and he wouldn't take no for an answer, and she wouldn't say yes. A little something extra from her to him, and him to her. When in doubt, get mad. Get good and mad. That's what she did, Tony. She got as mad as she could get. If you think she can tell any better and you want to take her to trial, go ahead. I'll be glad to accommodate you, amigo.
Might be best all around.
I'm not interested in what's best all around. I'm only interested in what's best for Mrs. Hannigan.
That's what I meant.
That isn't what you said. Now, Martinez has to be after more than the simple fact that Mrs. Hannigan didn't go to bed with her husband on occasion. I mean, he knows that if a guy doesn't sleep with his wife, he sleeps with somebody else's wife.
Is that the truth?
Or just plain somebody else.
Oh. Tony, there's a lot of talk that you're running too fast. Trying to build a bigger house, trying to make your whole career on this one case.
Am I?
Are you?
Thinking, Judge.
If you took Martinez's offer, you know what would happen to Mrs. Hannigan. This way, you can't guarantee what a jury will do.
I can guarantee what I'll do.
No case is ever so good that you can be absolutely sure of winning it. Isn't a plea always better than a trial?
Now, that depends on who the lawyer is.
Or what that lawyer's after.
Hey, now, wait a second. Wait just 1 second, miss. I remember once somebody asked Willie Sutton why he robbed banks. And he said, that's where the money is. Now, if money was what I'm after, we'd be back there in the East in that rat race, and I'd have scabs in my knees from chasing ambulances. As it is, I took most of our money and put it into 3 good suits that fit, and I'm laying 12 bricks a day here. And I like it. And us. Just this way. Okay?
Case dismissed.
The DA's willing to reduce the charge to manslaughter if you'll plead guilty. But he could have started bargaining to second degree.
What does it mean?
You'd get out of jail, Pauline.
I will.
You'll be eligible for bail right away. In court, it might mean 3 years, maybe less, maybe suspended. What do you say?
I say I was in a hell of a fix. My own lawyer thinks I killed my husband.
Lawyers are here to tell you what the DA has in mind.
I happen to think Martinez has made a pretty good offer, Pauline.
And I happen to think you're a jackass. And I'm not too sure about you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been chosen to serve as the jury in the case of the People versus Pauline Anna Hannigan.
She has been charged with committing murder on the night of September 20th of this year, causing the death of her husband, Ronald Dale Hannigan. Now, to this charge, she has pleaded not guilty. From the district attorney's office, Mr. Martinez and Mr. DeFranco represent the people. And the firm of Letterman, Yates, and Nickel represent Mrs. Hannigan. And of counsel for the purposes of this trial, Mr. Petrocelli.
Your Honor? That's Celli. Petrocelli.
What's the score?
Pete, I don't know and I don't care.
35-yard line, and that's about all. Third down, 5 coming up. They're not worried too much about the aerial game because the...
What about the $1,200 that Hannigan was carrying?
Well, I got an idea that some swifty ambulance driver or morgue attendant got themselves a new car.
And into the clear, it's Rotsky, breaking for 10 for 15.
I thought that guy was supposed to be a bum.
Some bum. He averaged 5 yards a carry last year. Bum.
What about the phone calls from the Hannigan's house that night?
Phone calls to the Kennedy's home.
That'd be Mrs. Kennedy's checking the babysitter.
Mm-hmm. Thelma Latimer?
Kennedy's maid, never heard of her. One of the Hannigans had to make that call.
What about the San Remo Times?
Kennedy's and Hannigan got into beef about baseball statistics, and they called it time to settle it.
Empire House Restaurant.
Hannigan's, they tried to make a dinner reservation, no dice. That's why they cooked at home that night.
Okay. Let's get back to that, Thelma Latimer. Did you talk to her?
No, she's out of town right now. She'll be back tomorrow.
But there's no time.
The half is over. We'll have halftime band entertainment coming up.
Hey, what'd she do?
Who?
Thelma Latimer.
Oh, she's an airline student.
I like to watch the bands.
Then, in your expert opinion, Doctor, the decedent's death occurred sometime between midnight and 2 in the morning.
That is correct.
Thank you, Doctor. Your witness, counsel.
Doctor, your opinion in relation to time of death, as I understand it, is based on skin coloring, body temperature, advance of post-mortem, rigor, lividity, etc.
And the stomach contents.
The stomach contents?
Well, the decedent finished dinner about 10:30 p.m., so it was possible that he could...
Are you testifying from your personal knowledge that you know the decedent finished dinner at approximately 10:30 p.m.?
No. In the police report, the maid said...
The maid hasn't testified as yet. I move to strike the previous answer as hearsay.
Your Honor, if the court please,
I'd be more inclined to accept the testimony if the basis were properly shown.
Strike it. Jury will disregard the previous answer.
And we take the court to the state's Exhibit E. Doctor, you testified that this was the murder weapon. Was that testimony based on the police report, too?
No, son. It was based on my own examination. The first and second layers of the victim's skull were penetrated, and that tennis racket with the brace had enough weight and strength to do the job. I found certain samples of the victim's blood and hair, skull fragments, and brain matter on it. And then I fitted certain ends of the brace into certain major indents of the skull and found it to be a perfect fit.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, Doctor, you also testified that the victim sustained certain other injuries when he fell or was pushed off of that railing.
Well, he had the right leg fractured, and the right elbow, and the right ankle, and the right collarbone, all fractured.
Oh, I'm just a little puzzled now. Wasn't the big toe in the right foot also fractured?
Well, that didn't happen falling over the railing.
Are we back to that police testimony again, Doctor?
Your Honor, if the court please.
Your Honor, this man is here as an expert, and it is his expert opinion I am seeking.
Overruled.
One more question, Doctor. Can you testify with absolute certainty that the victim did not break his big toe when he crashed down from that railing? Isn't it entirely possible that he could have broken that big toe when he fell?
Answer the question.
Well, yes.
Well, now no one is puzzled anymore, Doctor. Thank you.
Is Thelma in there?
Miss Latimer?
Yes?
Yes, Mr. Matusky said you might spare us a moment.
Police?
No.
He is.
Was.
I don't need an attorney.
Well, I don't need a client either, but I have one that needs a little help. Mrs. Hannigan.
You're the one who's been asking around about me.
Yeah.
That's not very nice. I might have to do something about that.
What?
The district attorney gave me the subpoena and told me not to talk to you.
How do you like that?
I love it.
Okay. Martina's got to it first, so he's going to use her in court. I want to know everything about that chick. I want to know who she knows, what she's done, what she might do, the works. All of it. Everything. Damn it.
Get all of this in proper perspective, Sheriff. Your exhaustive efforts to confirm Pauline Hannigan's statement to the effect that a man and a woman visited there sometime between midnight and 9 in the morning were totally unproductive.
Correct.
Do you recognize this article of footwear?
Yes, that's the shoe the victim was wearing when we found his body.
Have you examined it?
I have. I found particles of paint and some wood splinters embedded in the toe area. They come from the bedroom door.
Tell me, Sheriff, in your opinion, exactly how did they get on the victim's shoe?
He was trying to kick that bedroom door in.
Thank you. Your witness.
You examined that bedroom door, Sheriff?
I sure did.
Did you find any grains of leather or shoe polish adhering to that door?
No.
Neither did my investigator. Did you look for anything like that?
I didn't have to. I pretty much had the picture.
Well, you see, now I'm trying to get the picture, Sheriff. Now, did you examine the walls and floor and the stairwell?
What for?
Well, to complete the picture, Sheriff. You see, if, as you've testified, Mrs. Hannigan beat her husband to death upstairs, then managed somehow to push the body over the railing, I mean, it seems likely that you would have discovered some evidence in that area, like blood, skull fragments, brain matter.
You're telling it.
No, you're telling it, Sheriff. Now, do you think it's possible that your exhaustive investigation is not as exhaustive as the prosecutor has described it? Italian made.
Pauline hit him in the face with a butterfly stake and called him a chippy chaser, and then she went back to her room and locked herself in.
All in relation to his conduct with the hostess at that hotel in Tucson?
Objection and move to strike.
Sustained. Jury will disregard the witness's previous reference. Hearsay. Go ahead.
Let me try to capsule this, Mrs. Canadices. From time to time, over a period of years, the decedent had a habit of making overtures to other women in social situations when he had been drinking. Now, this always perpetrated a quarrel, and sooner or later, the defendant would lock herself in away from him.
Yes.
Thank you. That's enough.
It sure is, Your Honor.
Now, just a minute. Just a minute. I shall instruct the jury to disregard any imputations as to the decedent's conduct. Mr. Martinez? Now, you should know better, Mr. Martinez. And while we're at it, this whole line of testimony contains an element of hearsay, both in direct and cross. Now, since this is a murder trial, I shall allow some leniency in that area. But I may entertain motions to strike from both the defense and the people. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor. Your witness.
Mrs. Canadices? That's a Greek name, isn't it?
Yes.
It's beautiful. I have a particular affinity for ethnic names, as I have one myself.
Mr. Petrocelli, get on with it.
We're back to that night in Tucson now with that mustard steak.
Butterfly steak.
I stand corrected. Butterfly steak. Now, she let him have it. Now, what happened immediately after that?
She left the table, went to her room, locked the door, and that was that.
No. What about Mr. Hannigan? What did he do?
Dale? Oh, he came and slept on the couch in our suite.
Now, Mr. Hannigan employed Mr. Canadices in his construction company, didn't he?
Yes.
Did Mr. Hannigan make a pass at you that night?
No.
I'm glad to hear that. See, I had the crazy idea that every time Mr. Hannigan saw a girl and had a drink, wow, he just went right into action. Did he ever make a pass at you?
Yes.
Did you ever go to bed with Mr. Hannigan?
Your Honor, I object.
Your Honor, he opened up this can of beans, and I intend to close it. There's such a thing as making a pass, and there's such a thing as following through. The truth of her answer has a direct bearing on this testimony.
A witness will answer the question. Reporter?
Did you ever go to bed with Mr. Hannigan?
Yes. At the time, we thought we might be married.
You were formally engaged to marry Dale Hannigan, according to the San Remo Times, November the 11th.
Yes.
Then I take it the present Mrs. Hannigan came along, or was it Mr. Canadices?
Yes.
Well, who came first?
Mrs. Hannigan.
Okay, let me see if I can get this straight. So Mrs. Hannigan came along and married the man you were engaged to marry, and you married Mr. Kennedy's. Then you all became friends.
Yes.
Were you jealous of the defendant's marriage?
I suppose so. For a while.
For how long? Until Mr. Kennedy's came along?
Mr. Kennedy's was always around.
Waiting, kind of.
I guess so.
So if you couldn't have one, you could always have the other.
Yes.
And those first feelings of jealousy toward Mrs. Hannigan just vanished.
Yes, of course.
No feelings of jealousy now.
Absolutely none.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy's.
We have not asked the defendant to take the stand because the district attorney's...
No. Change that to prosecutor.
Because the prosecutor's witnesses have already presented our case, which is simply that the state does not have a case. If there was ever a case of reasonable doubt, look at the cases. People versus Marino, the Cone and Sheffield decisions. Are you racing him?
Of course not.
Tony, I'm scared. What's he trying to do?
She's gonna be okay. We lost our baby.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Thanks. something, Pete? I'm gonna build that room anyway.
Now then, Miss Latimer, that was flight 265. You landed in Chicago at 2:30 in the afternoon. Mr. Hannigan asked you to join him for dinner. You accepted. And?
And we had dinner together
Where?
at his hotel.
Let's see. He drove you in from the airport, and then, oh, by the way, did you wear your uniform when you had dinner with him?
No, I changed
Well, where?
in Mr. Hannigan's suite.
From your uniform into what?
Something I just happened to have in my overnight bag.
Well, you took your overnight bag up to Mr. Hannigan's suite.
Yes?
Well, then you and Mr. Hannigan went downstairs to the dining room to eat.
No. We called room service and had a couple steaks sent up. You see, I didn't really have anything decent to put on to go down to the dining room in. It was, just this little silk wraparound.
You testified you were based in Chicago, share an apartment there with 2 other girls. Now, after you finished dinner with Mr. Hannigan, did you change back into your uniform and then go home to your apartment?
No,
Oh. Well, where did you go then?
I didn't. I stayed in Mr. Hannigan's suite.
You were intimate with him.
Yes.
How long was your layover in Chicago?
4 days.
With him all that time.
Correct.
Now then, we could hardly call this a one-night stand, could we?
Objection. Sustained. Watch it, Mr. Martinez.
Yes, Your Honor. Now then, Miss Latimer, when did you learn that Mr. Hannigan had a wife here in town? Was that the first day, second day, third day, fourth day?
The last day when I had to go back to work.
Did that knowledge disturb you? I mean, didn't you feel you had been taken advantage of?
No. Dale had talked seriously about getting a divorce. He wanted to marry me.
Objection. Irrelevant.
Hardly irrelevant, Your Honor, since I am trying to establish that the decedent's association with this young lady was not a mere fling, but the beginning of a serious alteration in both of their lives.
All right. Let's see where we go, Mr. Martinez.
Now then, Miss Latimer, did you discuss this matter of marriage again?
Yes, we did. Dale told me he was going to talk to his wife about getting a divorce.
When did he say that?
I talked to him on the phone the night he died.
The night he died. Thank you. All yours, Counselor.
Your Honor, if the court please, the defense requests a 10-minute recess.
Court will recess for 10 minutes.
How did you get hold of this?
Old buddy of mine's a deputy DA in Colorado Springs. He just kind of made a copy and shipped it to me. Boy, that serious about marriage story, he sure got that in, didn't he?
What are we going to do now? We use it. We can't. Martinez certainly has the same information. He hasn't used it. And if he doesn't, we can't use it on cross-exam.
Counselor, in cross-examination, you can ask any question you want.
It has to be relevant.
And get an answer if you ask it correctly. You've been a stewardess for about 5 years. You have seniority?
Yes?
And privileges go with that sort of thing, huh?
Some. I can fly anywhere on the Sunrise route, usually whenever I want to.
Colorado Springs?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what getting a jet job is?
Your Honor, this whole line of questioning seems irrelevant.
I'm inclined to agree with Mr. Martinez.
Your Honor, the state's witness has had...
Your Honor, the witness is obviously confused, unable to answer the question.
The witness is not confused, and she is able to answer the question. And sit down unless you have a motion in mind.
Very close to contempt, Mr. Petrocelli.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Answer the question, young lady, or you will be in contempt.
A jet job is when a young girl makes a date with a married man and later finds out where he lives and calls him up and...
Asks him for money to keep quiet. Isn't that about it?
Yes.
Do you know a Colorado Springs passenger by the name of Jordan L. Steese?
Yes, I know him.
What about Thomas G. Haberel?
No.
Haberal, also from Colorado Springs.
No.
See, he's the sergeant of police there. They don't have a fraud or a bunco squad there, but he handles the same kind of work, and he knows you, Thelma. Didn't you pull a jet job on Mr. Steese in Colorado Springs?
Yes.
And didn't you pull a jet job on Mr. Hannigan right here in town?
No.
You're under oath.
No. I never took a dime from him.
Are you aware of the penalty for perjury in this state?
The court will advise the witness on matters of law, Mr. Petrocelli. Have you any further questions?
No more questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Martinez, just one question, sir. This airline stewardess, Thelma Latimer, it's pretty damaging to the defense as far as establishing motive goes, isn't she?
No comment, Clete.
Thelma Latimer, ladies and gentlemen, that's her. The state...
Did Mrs. Hannigan know about her?
No, she says not.
I'd kill you if I heard about you with a woman like that.
Well, Martinez got that over today without saying it.
Oh.
Tomorrow, the state is expected to arrest the state. There is speculation, close speculation. The defense will place Pauline Hannigan on the witness stand.
Shame me, isn't it? D.D. Franklin, he did 6 months in Colorado Springs, felonious assault on Jordan L. Steese. Airline mechanical. Tony.
Tony! Come on now, let's get out of here. Tony, come on. Come on.
A series of quarrels. And the final quarrel happened when, with knowledge of a very real threat to her marriage, knowledge of her husband's illicit affair, knowledge that he intended to marry a younger woman and divorce her, Pauline Hannigan willfully, knowingly, and with premeditation committed his murder. Thank you.
Your Honor, prosecutor, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to kind of sit back, take it easy, and relax, because I'm going to tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a little dinner party, an impromptu affair that ended around midnight. The people who had given the dinner said goodnight to their guests. Pauline and Dale Hannigan said goodnight several different ways, several different times that night. But finally, the guests left, and the doors closed, the lights were out, and Pauline and Dale Hannigan were alone together in their house, and their home. And neither one of them knew that another kind of party was about to begin.
Darling.
Good night.
What are you doing here?
Collecting a little money. Or else I take a walk up the stairs and have a talk with the missus. Lover. But don't worry, I'll take a check. I trust you. But him I don't trust. He's unpredictable.
Hey, Pappy.
Hold it right there.
Hey!
On the horses. They're making camp down below. Best trackers in the world. They're pulling out. What do you want?
And there goes Baby Buff.
Hey, Pappy. You better fix yourself a drink. You look like you could use one.
Stop.
$1,200.
Well, Pappy, nothing but the best for you, huh? You better have another one. It's free.
God!
Now, is there one bit of evidence to indicate that that is not what happened? The exact same evidence the state has used against Pauline Hannigan was contained in the version I've just given you. It is now up to each of you to decide whether you are convinced, beyond a reasonable doubt and a moral certainty, whether Pauline Hannigan murdered her husband. Now, if you are convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must return the harsh verdict the prosecutor has asked for. But if you are not, you must allow the defendant to walk out of this courtroom the way she entered, innocent. That is our law. I beg you now to employ it with wisdom and respect.
All rise. The Criminal Court, Division 36, is now in session of San Remo County. The Honorable Judge John E. Medford presiding. You may be seated.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
We find the defendant, Pauline Anna Hannigan, not guilty. Case dismissed.
You never even asked me if I was guilty.
I never had to, Mrs. Hannigan.
Well, Pete, we did it. Hey, Tony! This is a wild and woolly country, my friend. Everybody wants to take on the top gun. You're a marked man now. Good job. You too, Pete.
You too, amigo.
Gracias.
Say, I think there's somebody you might want to pick up.
Dee Dee Franklin? Already got him in custody.
Oh? What about that nice lady, Thelma Latimer?
Her too.